This is my stinky sister. No real job, no future, just a manual laborer. That sentence came out of my brother Jason's mouth at his big merger celebration. 1 hour later, Jason was the one standing in front of the board, pale and shaking. As always, before we dive into a story with an ending that's going to feel so satisfying, let's do a quick roll call. Type present and tell me which city you're watching this story from in the comments. For everyone who has already liked and subscribed, I pray that God makes your problems easier, widens your income, and keeps you healthy. Thank you, my friends. Now, listen carefully to my story. I never cared much about looking rich. That was always Jason's thing. He liked shiny watches, big cars, loud parties. I like steel-toe boots, greasy ponytails, and coming home tired because I'd been working with my hands all day. On paper, I was just the sister who works construction. What almost nobody knew was that after my dad passed away, most of his company shares and a few properties quietly went into a trust with my name on it. Dad did that because he knew Jason loved attention more than responsibility. And he knew my mom would always take Jason's side. So I kept my mouth shut. I let my brother play CEO. I stayed on the sites as a site supervisor and let everyone assume I was just another worker. That night, Jason was throwing a celebration for a big merger. Our family construction company, Miller Build & Co., was about to merge with a bigger firm, Grant Holdings. Jason had been bragging for weeks about it. Mom kept saying things like, "Claire, you'll finally get a proper job when this merger goes through. Jason will find you something decent in the office." In my head, I was thinking, I could buy this house twice, Mom, but okay. The party was at a rooftop hotel downtown. Glass walls, fancy lights, everyone in suits. I turned up in black pants, a simple blouse, no makeup except lip balm, and my old steel-toe boots because I came straight from the site. Mom's face twisted the second she saw my boots. "Claire," she hissed, taking my elbow, "you couldn't at least wear heels? This is important for your brother." "I came from work, Mom. Your son still wants the project finished on time, remember?" She rolled her eyes like I'd embarrassed her personally. "You always have an excuse." Jason came over, all smiles and cologne, with his arm around a tall guy who had that slick businessman vibe. "Claire," Jason said loudly, "come here. I want you to meet someone." The room quieted a little. Our relatives turned to look, plus a bunch of men in suits with champagne glasses. This was it. Jason did a little fake bow like he was a comedian. "Everyone," he called out, "this is my stinky sister. No real job, no future, just a manual laborer." People laughed. Not everyone, but enough. My cheeks burned hot. I froze on the spot. My hands clenched around the tiny purse I'd brought. I could smell the dust from my clothes, and suddenly I was very aware of my boots on the carpet. He slapped my back like it was a joke. "Don't worry, Claire. Once the merger goes through, I'll see if we can't get you something nicer to do. Maybe receptionist, answer some phones. You can manage that, right?" There it was, in front of the board members, investors, our extended family. My mother smiled politely like it was harmless, but one person didn't laugh. It was a guy standing behind Mr. Grant holding a tablet. I recognized him, Noah, one of the junior accountants in our company. He gave me this quick, worried look. Then he looked away like he didn't want anyone to notice. I swallowed hard and forced a smile. "Yeah, Jason, thanks," I said. "I'll try not to mess up picking up the phone." Everyone moved on. People clinked glasses, music started playing again. But inside, something small snapped. I'd put up with Jason's ego for years. I'd let Mom worship him while she called me rough and unfeminine. This time, though, something felt
different. It wasn't just the insult, it was the way he said, once the merger goes through, like he owned every piece of it. A little later, while I was standing near the bar pretending to sip champagne, Noah approached me carefully. "Hey, Claire, can I talk to you for a second?" "Sure," I said, confused. We stepped toward a corner near the emergency exit so nobody would overhear. Noah glanced around, nervous. "I probably shouldn't be saying this, but did you really sign the consent forms already?" I frowned. "What forms?" He swallowed. "The shareholder consent for the merger. There's a full packet. It has your name, your share percentage, all that." My heart dropped. "I never signed anything." Noah's eyes widened. "That's what I thought. The signature looked off. But Jason told us you came in last week when you were dressed up for once. He said you joked about finally doing something useful." In my head, I was thinking, I've been in boots and a hard hat all week. I haven't set foot in the office in months. "Do you still have a copy?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He nodded slowly. "Yes, it's in the secure folder, but I also saved a scan for review. I just thought I was going crazy because it didn't look right." Gaslighting. That was Jason's favorite game. Whenever I questioned anything, he'd say, "You don't understand finance, Claire. Just stick to your tools and let me handle the grown-up stuff." "Thanks for telling me," I said. My hands were already shaking. "Please don't mention this to anyone yet." He nodded quickly. "Okay, I'll text you." As he walked away, I stared out at the city lights through the glass. I started thinking about Dad. Dad had sat me down once in the hospital when he knew he didn't have much time. "Your brother is talented with people," he'd said, "but he loves shortcuts, so all the important signatures, they'll need you." Back then, I thought he just meant emotionally. Now it hit me that he'd been talking about legal signatures too. By the time Jason took the stage to give his big speech, I had already decided I wasn't going to stay quiet this time. He grabbed the mic, grinning. "Tonight," he said, "we're celebrating the future. This merger is going to change everything for the Miller family. Bigger contracts, bigger money, better life for all of us." Mom stood near the front, her eyes shining with pride. She shot me a look like, "See, your brother is taking us to the top." I just folded my arms and watched. Jason's mouth moved, but my mind was replaying Noah's words. "Did you really sign the consent forms already?" By the end of his speech, everyone was cheering. Jason lifted his glass towards Mr. Grant. "To new beginnings."
In my head, I whispered, "Yeah, new beginnings, just not the way he thought." 2 days later, I went to Noah's apartment. He didn't want to meet in the office. He said it was safer this way. When he opened the door, he looked like he hadn't slept. "There's something else you should see," he said. We sat at his small kitchen table with his laptop. He pulled up the scanned documents. There it was, the merger agreement. My name. My signature. I stared at it. It sort of looked like my handwriting if someone had practiced it, but there were small details wrong. "I never signed this," I said quietly. Noah clicked another file. "This is the power of attorney letter," he said. "It says you give Jason full authority to sign any future documents on your behalf." It felt like my chest got punched. The letter had my name, my address, even my driver's license number. But the signature was the same fake version. "Who notarized this?" I asked. Noah zoomed in. "A stamp. Harper & Co. Notary," he read. "But that's weird. I know Harper & Co. They're legit. I don't think they'd risk a fake signing." My head was spinning. "Send all of this to me," I said. "And Noah, back up everything, twice, somewhere Jason can't touch it." He nodded. "I already did. That's why I felt safe telling you. Something felt really wrong, and Jason keeps saying, 'You don't need to worry about the details, just file it.'" When I left his apartment, I sat in my car for a full 10 minutes. I couldn't say anything. Then I called the one person my father had told me to trust, his old lawyer, Ethan. Ethan was my cousin, technically, but older, in his mid-40s, with glasses and a calm way of speaking. He picked up on the second ring. "Claire," he said, "I was just thinking about you with this merger going on." "Did you know about this power of attorney letter?" I asked, not even saying hello. Silence. Then he sighed. "Sigh," he said. "Meet me at my office in 1 hour. Bring everything." Ethan's office was small, but packed with files. He closed the door behind me and locked it. I showed him the scans Noah sent. He read in silence. His jaw tightened. "I never drafted this," he said finally, tapping the power of attorney letter. "Your father never told me to. In fact, he did the opposite." "What do you mean?" He opened a locked drawer and pulled out a folder with my name on it. Inside were copies of Dad's will and the trust documents. Your father's shares, 60% of the company, are held in trust under your name. Jason has 20, your mother has 20. Any merger requires your direct, in-person consent. Your signature has to be witnessed by either me or another senior lawyer. That was your father's rule. My heart jumped. 60%? I asked. Ethan nodded. Your father knew Jason was bad with money. He said, "Claire might be rough around the edges, but she doesn't chase shiny things." I almost cried right there. Instead, I clenched my fists. "So Jason tried to go around that," I said slowly, "by faking my consent and this power of attorney letter." "It looks that way," Ethan said. "And if he filed these, he might be trying to cash out behind your back. There are big fees involved in a merger like this, side agreements, kickbacks." I swallowed hard. "Can he really do that?" "Legally, no," Ethan said. "But if nobody checks, the bank and the other company will just assume it's all valid. And if it goes through, you could lose control of the company your father left you. You might get some money, but Jason could easily siphon a lot of it. He could also try to push you out of decision-making completely." The room felt smaller. I thought about my dad's voice. I thought about Jason calling me stinky in front of everyone. "Okay, then we stop it." Ethan leaned back. "We can't just accuse him. He'll say you're confused or bitter or trying to ruin the deal. And your mother, she'll take his side," I finished. Ethan nodded. "We need evidence, real evidence, and we need the right place to show it, somewhere he can't just laugh it off." He looked at me over his glasses. "Claire, are you ready for this? It's going to get ugly. Jason won't back down easily." In my head, I thought, he started it. Out loud, I said, "Yes, I'm ready." Jason didn't wait long to strike. That evening, he showed up at my apartment with Mom. No warning. I opened the door to Mom's deep sigh. "You haven't cleaned in here?" she muttered, looking at my work boots by the door. Jason walked in like he owned the place. "We need to talk," he said. He dropped a folder on my coffee table. "This is the final consent form, Claire. I know you get overwhelmed with paperwork, so I'm here to make it easy. Just sign where I highlighted." I stared at the yellow markers. "You told everyone at the party I already signed." He didn't even flinch. "That was just to keep things smooth. You understand." Mom chimed in, sitting on my couch. "Claire, don't be difficult. Your brother has worked so hard on this. He's thinking about the family's future, your future too." "My future," I repeated slowly. "Or yours." Jason laughed. "There it is, the drama. Come on, Claire. You have no idea how much I'm juggling. Just trust me. Sign, and you'll get your cut. You can buy all the tool belts you want." "You already have my signature, don't you? On some letter I never signed?"
His eyes flickered, just for a second. Then he smirked. "Who told you that? You've been talking to people about things you don't understand again?" Gaslighting. He leaned closer. "Look, if you start causing trouble now, you'll ruin this for all of us. The board will think you're unstable. Do you really want that reputation?"
Mom nodded quickly. He's right. People already think you're strange, always in those dirty clothes. He went one step further. Do you want to be the reason your niece doesn't get to go to private school? He asked. Think about my daughter, Claire. Think about family. If this falls apart because you're stubborn, don't expect us to forgive you. There it was, using kids as weapons. I felt something break inside me. Not in a dramatic way, just a clean, sharp decision. I sat down slowly. I'm not signing anything today, I said. I'll have my lawyer look at it. Jason laughed like he'd heard the funniest joke. Your lawyer? Since when do you have a lawyer? I've always had one, I said. Dad made sure of that. Mom looked confused. Your father never told me that, she said. Yeah, I answered. He kept a lot of things quiet. Jason's eyes darkened. He picked up the folder, shoved it back into his bag, and stood up. Fine, he snapped, but don't come crying to me when this blows up in your face and when you realize you just walked away from the only chance you had to be more than a manual laborer. He said it like it was a dirty word. When they left, I locked the door and leaned against it. I broke down crying. For a few minutes, I really did feel crazy. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it really was just a business thing I didn't understand. Then I remembered the fake signature and my father's folder in Ethan's office. I wiped my eyes. No, I muttered, not this time. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and I worked quietly. He requested official copies of every document filed for the merger. He had a forensic handwriting expert look at the signatures. We called Harper & Co. Notary and asked who was present when I supposedly signed that power of attorney letter. The answer was simple. Only Mr. Jason Miller, the notary said. He told us his sister couldn't come and that he had full authority. Ethan got that call recorded with their permission for file verification. At the same time, Noah pulled more records. There were internal emails where Jason wrote things like, "Just file it. Claire's on board. She's not smart enough to question it." Then we found the side agreement. Jason had a consulting fee set up in the merger contract, a large sum that would be wired to a personal account once the deal was finalized. The account wasn't under his name. It was under a shell company registered in another state. Ethan smiled when he saw that. That's your brother's greed, right where we need it. The final piece came from an unexpected place. Our company driver, Luis. I ran into him at the site. He pulled me aside, looking nervous. "Miss Claire, I don't want to cause trouble, but I drove Mr. Jason's assistant to some office last month. They said it was for a signing. I asked if you needed a ride, and he said, no, Claire doesn't need to know about this." I stared at him. "Do you remember the building?" He did. Ethan later pulled CCTV footage from that building's lobby. On the day my signature was supposedly witnessed, the camera showed Jason and his assistant going in and out. I was nowhere in sight. By the end of the week, we had the fake documents, the notarization call, the emails, the hidden consulting fee, the CCTV footage, the trust and will documents naming me the controlling shareholder. Now we just needed the right place to drop it all. Ethan said,
The final signing. They'll have the board, the investor, the notary, and probably your mother there. Jason will want everyone to watch him seal the deal. That's where we do it." I nodded. "What do I need to do?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Just act like the stinky sister with no future," he said. "Let him think he's already won." The day of the final signing, I showed up in a simple blazer over my usual work clothes. My boots were cleaned, but still boots. Mom looked me up and down in the lobby of the Grant Holdings building. "Why can't you ever dress properly?" she whispered. "This is such an important day for your brother." In my head, I was thinking, it's about to be a very important day for me, too. Jason walked over, already buzzing with excitement. "Didn't expect you to come," he said. "Are you finally ready to watch how real business is done?" I gave him a small smile. "I'm curious," I said. He smirked. "Well, don't worry. I've handled everything. You just sit, smile, and keep quiet." We went into the boardroom. Long table, big windows. On one side, our company's board members. On the other, Mr. Grant and his team. Ethan was there, sitting near the end, pretending to go through some papers. Jason barely glanced at him. Mr. Grant shook Jason's hand. "Ready to finalize?" he asked. "Absolutely," Jason said. "This will be the best day of my life." I sat near Mom. She whispered, "Now don't embarrass your brother. If anyone asks, you're just here to support him." I almost laughed. Support him? Sure. The notary began reading out the key points: merger terms, share distributions, side agreements, projected profits. Then the notary said, "And as previously consented by the majority shareholder, Claire Miller." Ethan stood up. "Actually," he said calmly, "we need to pause there." The room went quiet. Jason's smile froze. "Jason, what are you doing?" Mom asked. Ethan picked up a folder and walked to the front of the room. "As a legal counsel for Claire Miller, I have to clarify something before this proceeds." Mom frowned. "Legal counsel for Claire?"
Jason laughed, but there was a nervous edge now. "This is unnecessary," he said. "We already have all the signatures. Claire doesn't understand these things, Ethan. Don't confuse everyone." Ethan ignored him and placed the folder on the table in front of Mr. Grant and the notary. Inside were copies of my father's will and the trust documents. "First," Ethan said, "I'd like to remind everyone who holds controlling interest in Miller Building Co. According to these original documents, Claire Miller holds 60% of the company through a trust. Any merger requires her direct, in-person consent with proper legal witnessing." The board members shifted in their seats. Mr. Grant's eyebrows rose. He looked at Jason. "Is this true?" he asked. Jason's face flushed. "Well, yes, but—" Ethan flipped to the next page. "Next, I'd like to look at this supposed consent form and this power of attorney letter that were submitted, the ones with Claire's signature." He put the documents side by side. Then he pulled out another sheet. "A handwriting expert has confirmed these signatures are not genuine," he said. "They're imitations, similar but not Claire's. Here are their findings." He passed the report around. Jason barked a laugh. "This is ridiculous," he said. "Claire signed those with me. She's just changed her mind and is trying to back out now." All eyes turned to me. I stood up slowly. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to speak clearly. "I never signed those. I never even saw them until a few days ago." Mom grabbed my arm. "Claire, stop this," she whispered. "You're making your brother look bad." In my head, I was thinking, that's the whole point. Ethan clicked a button on his phone. Through the room speakers, we heard the recorded call with Harper & Co. notary. "Only Mr. Jason Miller was present," the notary's voice said. "He told us his sister couldn't come and that he had full authority." The room went dead silent.
Mr. Grant turned slowly toward Jason. "You told us your sister personally signed everything," he said. Jason's face had gone pale. He licked his lips. "There must be some misunderstanding," he stammered. I meant I was signing on her behalf, obviously. She agreed. We talked about it." He turned to me. "Tell them, Claire. You said you trusted me. You said you didn't want to deal with paperwork." "Nice try," I said, "but I didn't say that, ever." Ethan wasn't done. He nodded at the door. That's when Noah and Luis walked in. Jason's eyes widened. "What are they doing here?" he snapped. "They're here as witnesses," Ethan said. "Noah, would you please explain how you first noticed something was wrong?" Noah, shaking a little, described the fake-looking signature. He told them about the emails, how Jason kept pressuring him to just file it and stop asking questions. Then Luis described driving Jason's assistant to the building on the day of the supposed signing and how they'd mentioned keeping me in the dark. Ethan placed a USB drive on the table. "On this drive, you'll find the CCTV footage from that building's lobby on the day Claire allegedly signed. You will see Jason and his assistant. You will not see Claire at all." One of Mr. Grant's staff plugged it into the screen. They fast-forwarded. There was Jason. There was his assistant. No me. Jason started talking faster now. "Okay, look, maybe I handled the paperwork in a way that was flexible," he said, "but it was for the good of the company. Claire never cares about the business. She's always playing with tools. She doesn't get it." He turned to the board. "I've been the one keeping us afloat, not her. She should be thanking me." There it was, reversing roles, playing the suffering hero. Ethan calmly opened one more document. The board should also see this, the consulting fee agreement for Jason Miller. He highlighted one line. "A separate payment to a shell company tied to Jason, payable once the merger goes through, a payment that does not go to the company or to the shareholders." Mr. Grant's face hardened. He looked furious now. "I was never told about this side fee," he said. "That's just standard business compensation. Everyone does it. You'd have done the same." The board members were staring at him like he'd just grown horns. My mother looked from Jason to me, confused and scared. "Jason," she whispered, "tell me you didn't." He ignored her. He turned to me instead. "This is your fault, you ungrateful little. If you had just stayed in your place." I cut him off. "My place," I said, "is as the majority owner of this company. You just forgot that because I don't wear a suit." I turned to Mr. Grant and the board. "I'm not against growth. I'm not against partnerships, but I will not allow a merger based on forged documents and hidden kickbacks, not in my father's company." Ethan nodded. "As legal counsel for Claire and for the trust, we are formally withdrawing consent for this merger until a full investigation is done. Any documents previously presented as her approval are invalid." The notary cleared his throat. "In that case," he said carefully, "I cannot proceed with this signing without the controlling shareholders' consent." The energy in the room flipped. A few board members who had always dismissed me now looked impressed, or at least suddenly respectful. Mr. Grant stood up. "Jason," he said coldly, "I will be reviewing this entire deal and your position. I don't appreciate being lied to." Jason was shaking now, literally shaking. His hands were trembling as he tried to fix his hair. "Wait, let's talk about this. We can fix it. Claire, please don't do this. You're ruining everything. For Mom, for my daughter." He finally went from arrogant to begging. I felt a sting in my chest when he mentioned my daughter, but then I remembered him holding her over my head as a threat. "I'm not the one who ruined anything," I said quietly. "You did that when you tried to fake my name and sell off our father's legacy for a personal payday." Ethan gathered the documents. "I'll also be recommending a full internal audit," Ethan said, "to see what else might have been done without the majority owner's knowledge." One of the older board members nodded. I think that's the right call, he said. And until then, Jason, I suggest you step down as acting CEO. Jason's mouth fell open. You can't do that. You need me.
The board member looked at me. Actually, he said, we need whoever legally owns the company to lead us through this. Claire, we'd like to discuss a temporary arrangement with you and Mr. Ethan after this meeting. My heart pounded. I wasn't expecting that, but I nodded slowly. Okay, I said. Jason turned to Mom. Mom, say something, he begged. They can't do this to me. Mom looked like she'd aged 10 years and 30 minutes. She stared at me, then at him. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Jason, did you really lie about her signature? He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. For the first time in my life, my mother didn't jump in to protect him. She just lowered her head. Jason stumbled back from the table. He looked at me like I was some stranger. Then he stormed out of the room, slamming the glass so hard the glass shook. I let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for years. A few weeks later, things looked very different. The merger was officially canceled. A formal investigation started into Jason's actions. His access to company accounts was frozen. He was removed from the CEO position. He tried to spin the story to our relatives, of course. He told people I stabbed him in the back, that I was power hungry. But this time, there were documents, there were emails, there were witnesses. Even Mom couldn't fully defend him. She visited me one evening, eyes red. I don't understand how it got this bad, she said quietly. Your brother, he always wanted more. I thought it was ambition. Wanting more isn't the problem. It's what you're willing to do to get it. She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. I'm sorry I never took you seriously. You never bragged. You never showed off. I thought you needed Jason. I didn't realize that he needed me, I finished. She gave a small, sad smile. Something like that. I didn't forgive her overnight, but I didn't shut the door on her either. I just set boundaries this time. With Ethan's help, I didn't jump into the CEO role blindly. We brought in an experienced managing director to handle day-to-day operations, while I stayed involved as owner and made sure my father's values were respected. I still worked on sites. I still wore my steel-toe boots. The only difference was now everyone knew they were reporting to someone who could sign off on their entire future. Not long after, I ran into Noah and Lewis in the office. I thanked them properly. Noah laughed nervously. I just couldn't ignore it, he said. I don't like feeling like I'm helping someone do something wrong. That's exactly why I'm keeping you around, I joked. Life didn't suddenly turn perfect. Jason was still out there, angry and humiliated, but he had no access to my accounts, no control over the company, and no easy way to hurt me financially anymore. At my next family gathering, there was no big party, no investors, just relatives and food. Someone asked Jason jokingly, "So where's your stinky sister with no future?" He went quiet because now everyone knew the truth. I'd never needed to brag. I had the real power all along. And when he tried to play games with my name and my future, he was the one who ended up exposed in front of everyone, shaking like a scared kid, while the manual laborer calmly took back what was hers. From everything that happened, I learned that staying quiet can be peaceful, but staying quiet while people walk all over your rights is dangerous. You don't have to scream or show off, but you do need to know your own power and protect it, even if it means standing up to your own family. If you've been through something similar or want to share your own story, write it in the comments. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, hit the like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next stories.